Hey folks, welcome back to another Dice Tower preview. I'm Mark, and today we're taking a look at The Last Kingdom, which is brought to you by Gameland Games. It's for 2 to 5 players, ages 14 and up, and games generally run about 60 to 150 minutes. The kingdoms of Britain are at war. Many have already fallen to the invading Danes, leaving the great kingdom of Wessex standing alone and defiant under the command of King Alfred. You are one of the great commanders and politicians in this war-torn land, known today as England. Both Saxon and Dane armies openly battle for dominance, and it is up to you to tilt the scales of power. To reclaim these lands, you will need to tread a dangerous path between both sides of the conflict. Will you betray your allies for power? What part will you play in the birth of a new nation? And will you ultimately rule it? In the Last Kingdom board game, you will take on the role of a leader in this time of conflict. The game plays over 2 rounds, during which you will perform actions to command armies in order to shape the course of the war. Your allegiance to the Saxons or the Danes can be firm or fickle, and your score will reflect not just your prowess in battle, but your political skill in maneuvering the competing forces of pre-England. During the war phase, you will gain victory points from winning in conflict regions based on the affinity you have with the Danes or the Saxons. At the end of round 2, once the 5th and final region has peace, the game immediately ends. Players reveal their victory point totals that they have secretly accumulated behind their screens, and the player with the most points wins and is the new ruler of England. So yes, the game is based on the hit Netflix show. Definitely go check it out if you're into the Viking theme and so forth. It really comes through in the game, actually, as you take on the roles of these different characters. They're very much in line with the characters in the show. If not, if you don't know the show, that's fine. You don't have to. It still is this battling Viking game. Definitely worth checking out. Now the thing here is that you're going to have your hero and you're going to have some starting things, and the currency in this game is all about action points that you can spend. So you're going to start with some, and there are cards and different ways to get more action points through the course of the game, and even if you lose in a battle you'll get some action points, so it's not all bad to lose, but you are after those ever sought after victory points, and you're looking at this affinity track. All your different commanders or heroes, whatever you want to call them, are going to be on this track for Saxon and the Danes, and you'll see their varied victory points in battle. Now you'll see that there'll be different variation on these points and a question mark. It just means that strictly for every unit in that battle, you're going to get those many victory points if your side wins the battle and hopefully the war. So you really are trying to raise your affinity in the different areas, and perhaps you might be, like I said, fickle and change your allegiance right in the middle of battle to gain victory points at the end. So it is definitely a tactic to be switching back and forth, and also very true to the show. Along with your starting action points, you're going to also see on your commander card that it'll show you your starting affinity points, as well as give you your starting location, your starting alliance or allegiance with particular Danes or Saxons, and then your main action for this character, as well as some permanent abilities, some things that are going to aid you through the course of the game for sure. So again, all of these are very thematic to the characters and how you might use them in the course of battle. And when you do switch allegiances, you have a token to represent that next to your character that everyone can see. You do have player shields that you will only be placing your victory points and your action points behind, so no one really knows how much you have available. But on your character itself, you have this really handy little ring, so it's quick and easy to switch your alliance with the different factions and so forth as you play through the course of the game and enter into battle. So the game takes place over 2 rounds. You have cards you're going to be drafting in round 1 and round 2, and then you're going to perform actions, and you're going to have to battle and bring peace to each of the regions before moving on to the next round. And then you'll repeat this wash and repeat, so to say, except the new cards that you're going to be coming into in round 2 are going to be a lot more powerful and really give you some interesting options. And a lot of these action cards that you're going to be using through the course of the game are going to allow you to push and pull armies. That's a lot of what you're doing, pushing and pulling them into different regions. You might move one in from another region and remove 2 others or 3 others. You never know what the cards are going to allow you to do. But those are some of the main actions, main things you're doing with those special abilities and so forth. You also have market actions, which we'll get to, but that's where you're going to have to start spending those ever valuable action points. So at the start of every round, you're going to be doing this draft, and you're going to end up with 4 cards, 4 action cards to add to the 2 that you already have. Now, these cards have different types of abilities and things you're going to be doing, obviously, and one of the main things is there's main actions and secondary actions. The secondary actions can be passive, just in your hand, or instant actions. If you have an instant action, you have to play them immediately. So it might be cards that give you additional benefits or additional type of actions or abilities that are permanent to your character. Others might just allow you to, like this one called Friendship, allow you to just move up the track, your affinity track for the Danes. So all these cards are going to work very differently. And then, you know, there is a passive ability, which I really liked this one when we played. The fact that I could go to the round 2 deck and get cards from there and have them in round 1 really adds some interesting aspects for sure. And then the other cards, like I said, are going to be doing things like moving troops around the map. But you also have heroes, where you'll get this hero. It is a permanent hero, actually, and you'll look for that character. You'll be putting it into the location where your character already is, or your commander, and it's going to be adding to your battle totals. It's going to have a permanent ability that you'll be having out in play as well. These are super valuable. Heroes are really nice to have. So on your turn, you will perform 1 primary action, and this can be from cards in your hand, it can be from the marketplace, or from your specific character, commander card, and so forth. So you have to perform at least 1 primary action, but your secondary actions, you can perform as many of those as you want, as long as you can pay for them in the marketplace, or as long as you have cards in hand to do this and so forth. Because this is your main hand of cards for the specific round, and there are definitely ways to get additional cards, but it's not frequent how that happens. So you will be looking at different things, and one of the ways to get additional cards obviously is through the marketplace. And again, this is where all those action points, those tokens, come into play. You have to spend them, and you'll see there's varying number of points that are needed, or tokens needed, to perform these actions. And again, you have your primary and passive different ones here as well, but these are going to cost maybe 3 or even as much as 6, and once you pay for one, it moves out and moves to the end and pushes everything down. So that particular action becomes more expensive once someone has used it and so forth. But again, these are going to do very much the same thing that your cards are doing. You're moving troops around, you might be getting affinity for different things, getting cards, or just simply getting some victory points. So these market actions are very important and very powerful, because you will start to run thin in your cards. Now, it's also really important to note that there are many regions out here that are going to be involved in battles. And you know, you do have limited resources, limited actions that you're going to be performing. So choose your battles wisely. You're not going to be involved in every single battle. It's pretty rare that I found in the couple games that we played that can happen. But you do need to choose wisely in order to get the most victory points for the battles that you are in. So this is the conflict token. This shows which region is currently in conflict, where you're trying to amass troops and do battle and so forth. And then you also have a succession token. This one shows where the next battle will take place. And through the course of the game, as each place is conquered, you will put a peace token. Either the Danes or the Saxons have won that area. So as you pass in the game, you can pass and not really be done with your turn. But if you choose to pass, I'm completely done with my turn, the first one to do so, then you can get the prepare for invasion token. And not only that, but you get action tokens based on how many regions already have peace. So that is definitely valuable, but what this will do is will allow you to choose the next place, the next succession that will take place when everyone is finally passed and the battle takes place. At the bottom of the board, you'll be tracking the different strengths of the different troops in the region that is currently in conflict. So here for this quick example, you'll see that we've got 4 Danes to 3 Saxons. And the cubes here represent the different troops, but in the full game, the cubes will be miniatures of the color as well. And the nice thing about the track at the bottom of the board is just the fact that everyone at the table at a glance can see where the current conflict is, what you might need to do. Maybe you need to change sides if something is going one way or the other. So on your turn, you might play a card like a Crushing Blow, which this is a really great card. So for the Danes, they're going to be able to move in a cube that is adjacent to a region, and it could be anywhere out here you want it to be, but in this case we're going to try to move in 1 Dane, and the card also allows us to move 1 of each type of Saxon out, so they're just basically out of this area. You'll be removing them, swaying the side for sure. Now you can see we've got basically 5 Danes to one Saxon in that region. So already with one card, we swayed that battle quite a bit. But of course, everyone else at the table has cards of their own that can change up this battle. Not only the troops that you move in, but your commanders and heroes that you have in play can change up the point value of total for the forces that are in play in this current conflict region. And in order for you to take part in the conflict, your leader must be in the location. So again, you're going to be basically playing this way, moving troops around, trying to gain the foothold for your side and win that battle. And then once everyone is fully passed, that battle commences and you will be placing a token into the region based on who won. This region is now at peace. And of course, the winner or winners of the battle will gather victory points based on what their affinity is and how many troops were involved in the battle. And so again, your main goal here is to have the most victory points at the end of round 2. You'll total up, and no one really knows again because behind your player screen, and then you reveal and show all your points. Now, again, there's multiple ways to get points. You can get points from the affinity, from completing battles. There's points in the market action, as well as there are ways to get points from cards in your hand and so forth. So really a lot of different ways to do things in this game, a lot of different ways to get additional action points. And when you do lose in battles, like I said before, you do get action points. So you'll get 2 action points if you happen to lose the battle that you're part of. So it's not all bad, but again, you are after those victory points to have the most and rule England in the end. All right, folks, just a reminder once again, this has been a Dice Tower paid preview, and everything you've seen here has been in prototype form. So keep a close eye on the campaign for any changes that still may occur. Now, with that said, you know, this prototype is so well done. I mean, it looks finished. It looks this good in prototype form. I can't wait to see the final version. But it really is a game of tug of war. I really felt that as you move troops in, troops get moved out, you try to move them back in, and how the battle changes from player to player and where it might end up and how you choose to pass at strategic times, and also switch alliances when it most makes sense to get victory points for you. So it is an interesting, like I said, tug of war. I really felt that in this game. And the theme, if you know the show, the theme is truly there in the characters and what they're doing and how you're battling and so forth. Now, I got to play this game a couple times at Dice Tower West, and I had some folks chime in to tell you what they thought about it. Just some quick clips here at the end. But folks, ultimately, if this looks like something of interest to you, I'm sure they'd appreciate your support. So I think that's it for me, and until next time, we'll see you at the table.
It is chaotic because you're changing sides, but it's fun.
It fits the show.
I liked how the battles were won before you got in them by other people moving opponents around.
I got to play a Viking game with Sam.
Destiny is all.